Welcome to First Look Live. I'm Matty Marshall with Cena as
Oh,
in Texas. We also do not forget to sign up for Go Sports to watch the next event, which is going down this weekend, the 22nd through the 24th in Atlantic City. Can't wait to get to that one, the third event. Always interesting as there's really no more excuses. Everyone's had, half the year to get things going and get your crew tightened up. So, Cena, today, highlight episode from Sunday.
highlights.
I always love the highlight episodes just because we get a chance to throw some shine towards some of the players on these teams that were kind of carrying a lot of the weight
I'm liking it
for
too
their
because
squad.
like some of these players are getting into it. They're like, "How do I get on this highlight reel?"
Okay, so check it out. Look, on this specific highlight, and I'm gonna have to apologize if I sound a little hoarse, as my wife and nephew got me with this cold. Hopefully it goes away before we start the event. Cena's struggling a little bit too,
I
but
am.
hey, the show must go on. So uh one of the things I like about some of these highlights that we have here is that they're not all just blatant run throughs. I mean, you don't have to do a run through to finish things off. um we're gonna have a couple of those, but there's a couple highlights in here that are just straight crossfield shots that were key, a couple methodical moves that were key, and a couple moves that didn't even work out. I mean, they didn't even score the point, but it was just the right move at the right time.
Yeah,
And I thought it deserved the merit, in the sense that we should give them credit for that, because this is the stuff that, not only we're looking for to throw some shine your way, but also teams are looking for as the guys in those crucial moments that are making the right decisions to try to win points for their team.
yeah. I'm excited about these. I mean, we got everyone today. We got Elevation, Revo, Heat, X Factor, Impact, Dynasty, AC Dallas, and of course the finals semifinal match. Impact Russian got a couple of highlights. This is going to be a good one. Let's get right into it. This is from your list, the wild card match, the one you have up on your screen. Dan Zaleski with the 2-pack. Why was this a highlight?
Well, this is definitely one of those just quintessential finish things out. He's up bodies. He's looking to close things out. But we've seen, when the opening is there, you need to make that move to close things out, to not give those last two players some time to read and react and maybe win a low body situation. And so another thing is, I wanted to give some credit to Dan Zaleski. Revo is legit this year. They've made Sunday both of the events. They made Sunday in Vegas, made top four. And then heading into Texas, they didn't have the showing they wanted to in the Elevation game, as Elevation actually, Elevation also made Sunday. We'll get to them in a little bit, but Revo didn't make it as far as fourth. But Zaleski is one of the main reasons that that Revo is legit this year. So I wanted to give a little shine this way. So he's on the snake side of the field. It's 2-on-4. There's two bodies in front of him. He seizes the moment, comes down, shoots Kato, shoots the last player, and then finishes it off, makes it look pretty, using those bunkers to block it out. That's exactly how you want to finish a point in that situation.
He looked a little Alex Goldman-esque there. In
Well,
fact,
Zaleski's fast, he's methodical,
yeah.
and he's aggressive. So absolutely. I see a little Alex Goldman in the way Dan Zaleski's been playing the snake this year. Absolutely.
Oh man, dude, you are gonna struggle this week with that voice. Oh
Do I
Jesus.
sound that bad?
I
I know
mean,
it's.
it just. I mean, I hear your struggles. I hear your struggles. It sounds painful.
Well, I'm glad that I'm getting this out of the way now, as opposed to if I had to talk for 10 hours 3 days in a row, and this would be the status of my voice right away. This is normally what I sound like on Sunday afternoon or Sunday evening.
Yeah.
So not on Monday.
All right. Same game. Elevation scores 2-2. 7:23 on the clock. Josh Mountain with a nice move up the center. Let's talk a little bit about Mountain and Elevation.
Well, I really like what Mountain did here in this specific move. Now, here's the thing. Elevation, we talk a lot about Corey Hall. Corey Hall's had some huge moments this year. Corey Hall's pulled off 1-on-2s for 2 events in a row. He's super methodical on that D side of the field. Ryan Quaderno is a weapon. They put him on the snake side, put him on the D side, doesn't matter where he is. He's a guy that other teams have to worry about. But what I really liked out of Mountain was that, look, you're not going to be making Sundays if you only have 1 or 2 guys stepping up. And Josh Mountain up that center of the field, they didn't have all their guys at this event. They were missing Mike Urena. They were missing Hal Vanta. So even though they were missing 2 of their starters, they still had Josh Mountain getting it done in the center. Now, the center was interesting because the center had a lot of open possibilities and options where you could get up this field and be creative and make things happen. We're going to see some more highlights as we progress of guys in the center of the field. But the way that Mountain played this point was pretty sweet. Now, this is also a key moment in the sense that the game was super close. It's in the wild card round. It's on Sunday morning. They're playing for their team's lives. And Mountain gets up. Now, when we roll this back through again, you're going to see Mountain up at the wedge. Now, the patience that Mountain showed in this particular move was impressive. He's waiting on Zaleski. He knows the count. You can see all of Revo stuck in that back spot, and there goes Zaleski's move across from the insert into snake one. Mountain was posted on that way, so he just baited and waited that time, set the trap for Zaleski to get across, and had the patience and the accuracy to make that shot when it counted, and then he finishes the move clean through the center after that. So it was just a high paintball IQ move at the right time from a guy that on a team that's up and coming right now, that's making a name for themselves in the pro division. And again, we've been talking a lot about Corey Hall, talked a lot about Ryan Quaderno, and rightfully so. But when you start stacking up talented guys like Josh Mountain in the center with the other names that I just said, I mean, that's one of the reasons that Elevation's a threat. They have multiple guys out there that are getting it done this year. I just thought this was a really smart point from Josh Mountain in a really close game on Sunday morning.
Yeah, the trap was definitely set here. Good call on this highlight. Mountain and the Elevation guys have an interesting story. I heard there's like dentists and doctors and lawyers on that team. What do these guys do for a living?
Well, I'm not exactly sure what they all do. I know Corey works in the medical field. He's not a doctor, but yeah, this is just a great paintball story, man. You have a team that took 5th place in semi-pro, and you've heard me say it all year because it's the truth. No one thought that Elevation was going to be legit this year. Now, they're not winning tournaments, but for their first year in the pro division, no one thought they were going to be making Sundays. This doesn't happen. 2 events in a row. Scott's to Elevation after taking 5th place in semi-pro. They weren't even going to go pro. Wasn't even going to happen. But they got the call because Distortion fell apart. So they got the gift of getting into the pro division. I talked to Corey Hall in November. It was November, December, regardless. And he was just like, yeah, we're going to play semi-pro. You know, he's getting married this year. Like, Corey almost didn't even play paintball this year, period. So it's just such an amazing story of what Elevation has done. And the fact that they're hanging with these top teams, I mean, they went blow for blow with Revo. They ended up losing, unfortunately, in that game which we have another highlight coming up, so I'll save it for in a second. But yeah, it's just impressive what they're doing this year. But they all have jobs. You know, these aren't guys that are trying to, you know, get diluted in the sense that, oh, we're going to make millions of dollars off of playing pro paintball. You know, that ain't going to happen, man. What can happen is you have some heroic moments and have some amazing stories and have some, you know, you're playing against the best teams in the world. Who knows? Maybe if they scale up, maybe they will get, you know, more sponsorships, and well, who knows what's going to happen in the future. But this is just an awesome story of some guys that have been training their asses off for years and staying together to make it to the pro division, to step up, to make 2 Sundays in a row for their first year in the pro division. It's ridiculous. It's never happened.
Let's take a quick question. We got some new fancy scenes here. John Saywell asks, off-topic question, does Go Sports plan to cover the Iron City Classic 10-man mechanical event on August 5th and 6th? 54 teams entered. You know, that event is awesome. I believe that's Montrester's event. We're trying. We love those people. We love everybody over there in that squad. It's just a matter of budget and timing and finances. And I do know that there is a conversation going on between the two, and hopefully we make it. As of right now, we're not, but hopefully it all pans out. Back to this. Let's see.
Well, hold on real quick.
Yeah,
we would love to cover that event. We would love to cover more events, but just like Elevation in the reality of their situation, as they got jobs because they need to be able to do this, we need as many subscribers as we possibly can if we want to cover more events. We're running on the ragged edge as it is right now, and we need as much support as possible. So if you're bootlegging on your buddies' sign in, we would really appreciate your support. It's not that much considering what we're giving you for the month. So again, share across your social networks these shows, these free shows that we give away, trying to spread the paintball gospel. And then, yeah, we're trying to bring to bear the best possible professional show that we can bring to the sport of paintball, but we need your support to do it. So in order to try to go to events like the Iron City Classic, which, are you kidding me? 10-man mechanical? That's my shit, man. That's how I grew up. That's how I cut my teeth playing this game.
That's my shit.
You know, so absolutely, we would love to cover that, but we need your support to do it. So that's just the reality of the situation. Unfortunately,
let's talk about the final point. 3:40 on the clock. Revo 2, Elevation 3. Revo here has to make something happen. This was awesome. I like the call out for this as a highlight. It's nothing flashy. It's nothing that's gonna make a Sports Center top 10. But look at the amount of bunkers that Mr. O'Mara plays. Check this out. He goes from the temple here, goes to the middle, shoots out the center, and then shortly after he makes the bump, I believe, to the brick, and O'Mara, he's still here. He's going to make the bump to the brick right here shortly, and then I believe he plays another 2 bunkers and gets another kill out of that corner. O'Mara's been that guy though. We talked about him a little bit in the last episode when we were doing highlights. He's that guy that's going to make those clutch moves, make or break moves. And I know we hate using the word clutch and all that, but it's the reality of the situation.
I love using the word clutch.
You do.
I'm a huge fan of the word clutch.
But the reality of the situation is you need guys who are going to make instinctual moves, right? People who are not going to hesitate, make those instinctual moves that are more than likely to make the correct move at the right time. O'Mara's that guy. O'Mara's been making the right moves. He cut his teeth in the snake. He's playing up the Doritos. He's playing up the middle. He's playing everywhere. And sure enough, just like this point, and clearly in the match top 5 here against Elevation, having to make something happen, and he was that pressure, and he's been that pressure for Revo.
Well, that's one of the reasons that Revo's getting good. Revo also making Sunday 2 days in a row. Oh, my throat's starting to feel a little better. So, yeah, he's just like you said, Cena. The reason why I pulled this highlight, I watched this game. Look at the time. There's 1 minute and 28 seconds left. Revo is down by 1. Revo ends up winning this game, and one of the big reasons is because of this move right here by Steven O'Mara. O'Mara's in the center, and like you said, played a ton of different spots. Why? Because he's getting that comfortable in his position. He sees the creativity, the possibility in that center of the field, and he realizes that Elevation is slow playing this point. Elevation is kind of just hiding in their spots, trying to stay alive to preserve the lead with just 1 minute and a couple seconds left. It goes under 1 minute, down by 1, and Revo looks for his shot. He actually comes back off of that brick, gets to the back, or gets into one of those wedges. He gets the shot from that wedge, and then cuts through the center to blow the point open. And we just talked about Dan Zaleski, Josh Pike, their backfield, Max Trailer. Revo is getting deep, the best of 187 crew, the best of Revo whittled down after all these years. And that's one of the reasons that they are now hyper competitive in this pro division. And Steven O'Mara is talking about making highlight reels. When I'm watching these games and going back and trying to find some of these highlights and just, doing my homework before the event, it's just a pleasure to watch O'Mara play the game right now, because he's just super creative, and like, you have to have threats. We always talk about that. The ones set the tempo and the pace for the team. If your ones aren't doing the job, if your ones aren't presenting a threat and putting pressure on your opponents, you're going to struggle. You're going to have a hard time. And O'Mara always seems to be the guy that the other team is worried about right in that position. And I mean, just like he looked like Malloy out there playing all those spots.
Yeah, and he did really well in fantasy throughout the prelims. Come Sunday, obviously, because they didn't get as many games as others, but he was in the top 10 all weekend. So look for O'Mara at Atlantic City. Moving on to our next highlight, we're going to go right into the quarterfinals on Sunday at NXL Texas Open. You pulled this is a great match. Heat against X Factor. It is 1-1, and Chad George does a Chad George thing and shoots in the tiniest of windows. I want you guys to check this out. Let me pull it up. Here it is. In the tiniest of window. Yeah, on Jesse.
Shot?
Yeah. X Factor, Jesse Stevens, right there. Just picks him off. Here, I'll have a replay here shortly. He's able to, in the tiniest of windows, get this kill right here. Boom. I mean, Chad George can do everything. Well,
Chad George, we were just talking about how O'Mara's becoming one of my favorite players to watch. Chad George probably is my favorite player to watch right now, just because, Chad George has been spectacular for a long period of time. I mean, he didn't just get good this year, but the level that he's bringing to the game, and this is a good example. The reason why I pulled this highlight, there's 7 minutes and 11 seconds. This shot right here was the turning point in this match, believe it or not, because as soon as this happens, Ryan Brand concedes the point. So it's 5-on-4 in favor of Houston Heat. As soon as Chad George gets that shot on Jesse Stevens, you can see there in the left-hand side of that window as Stevens comes across. So we've been watching Chad George have highlights. He's pulling off 1-on-2s, pulling off 1-on-1s, running guys down. But this particular moment where he makes that cross-field shot on the hyper-aggressive Jesse Stevens with 7 minutes left to go, a tied 1-1 ball game, forces the concession from Ryan Brand, gives them the lead, and then that was pretty much it after that. So I mean, you could literally argue that this specific shot right here won Houston Heat this match.
I mean, yeah, that's a valid argument. And Matt Sossaman, you guys make sure you get your questions in on Facebook. That's where we're taking all these questions. Matt Sossaman, Chad George, and Sam Monville have been making shots like that for years. I agree. This was,
well, yeah, duh, for sure. That's why, I mean, Sam Monville and Chad George, like I just said, have been playing outstanding for a long period of time. But how consistent. So look, a lot of guys are going to play. You don't get into the pro division if you don't have a high top end, but it's the consistency in Chad George's top end this year that's incredibly impressive. And one of the big reasons with the injury to Konstantin Fedorov and the fact that, you know, they're getting some spins for some new guys. Nico Hyde obviously having a huge year. Ronnie Dizon really stepped up and has become the player that everybody wanted to see him be when he first came into the pro division. He's that guy now. But yeah, I definitely agree with Matt. I mean, Chad George, even going back to when he's playing, 10 years ago, had an incredibly high top end. But it's just the versatility that he's bringing to the game right now. And for sure, Monville as well, too. And with Monville, interesting story there is that he coached. He decided to kind of quasi-retire, pick up the clipboard, put the gun down, and then this year picks the gun back up. And he's been in this situation where he's pulled two 2-on-4s off in 2 events. So, yeah, I definitely agree with Matt.
This point, this is an interesting one. Sergey's going to make a move up the center and he's going to get bunkered by Woodley. Colton Archie attack the Doree side. Chad George in the 50 snake. And Grayson tries to make something happen. Let's see it
unfold. This is a crazy point right here. This point is... it's same game, crazy point.
Yeah, Sergey's gonna come up the middle here, and the ball's point, actually. The ball is it not this one? No, it is this one. Sergey's gonna come up the middle. Yeah, Grayson's kind of the widest guy out, so middles are gonna trade, and Grace is in the position where he needs to make something happen, or at least stop the bleeding. Colt and the guys on the Doree side are doing their thing, and this is where we had a little bit of a fiasco. And the X Factor guys got, wanted replay reviews and so on. And I believe we're going to replay it here a couple times. But, yeah, this was a crazy match. Was it a spin or not? That was ultimately the question. Did Grayson spin here on Chad George? Let's take a closer look. Let me see if I can pull up the replay. Here it is. All right, so here's the replay up the middle. Solid trade, followed up by, you guys be the judge. Was this a spin or not? Did the refs get it right?
Yeah, so look, I can't really fault Grayson too much in this. Do you see the refs about to pull a major penalty here?
Yeah.
And if you watch right at this moment right here, it looks like it comes off of Chad, but I think it came off of the bunker. But you see that spray? But the ref's looking at Grayson. Grayson takes the hit right there. Grayson takes the hit, I believe, in his shoulder.
and then he comes.
But it was so bang, bang. I mean, you look at it from this opposite side of view. I mean, this is after Grayson already had the paint on him. And then you can see Chad being like, well, wait a second. But I felt that was a nice move from Grayson. It just didn't work out for him. And Chad George had his spidey sense tingling. He came up right at the right moment in the right position on that bunker to get the shot right there. On Grayson, you can see it spray off of him. You can see there on his right shoulder as he's coming through, it sprays off right there. And then the ref sees that, and then Grayson's still gunned up and coming, and then it puts a couple more on him right there. So that's just a tough. It's a tough. If the call, I agree with the call. I get it, but it's just a tough break for Grayson because I felt that was a nice move. It just didn't work out for him because Chad made a better move. Chad realized that, but this is that high level timing that we talk about. This is the stuff you can't really teach. It just has to be bred into you from getting tons of reps and watching the flow, the back and forth of the point. And so what was interesting about this was that, so you had it was a 2-1 game. X Factor needs a point. So it was Heat comes with the aggression in the center, Woodley counters, and then Chad comes up, and then Grayson counters. And then the major penalty is called. But if that penalty is not called on Grayson with Colt still alive and getting work done, and shout out to Colt Roberts. Colt Roberts played his ass off at this last event in Texas. It is, a home event essentially, even though, it's in Dallas, but still. And this is just one of those reasons why X Factor is always consistently at the top of the game. It's been a while since they've won a tournament, but they're constantly getting deep into the tournament. And this was just a tough break, unfortunately, for Grayson and the rest of the boys from X Factor. But Chad George, again, in the mix with another awesome move to help, draw the penalty to save that point for his team.
Chad George doing Chad George things.
Yeah, it
once
has to be,
again.
dude.
I think it was a good call. I think they called it right there. The next, let's go right into the next one. The next one I was able to pull was the Impact Damage match. Again, still in the quarterfinals. This was a highlight with Dalton and Tim battling on the D side. And let's take a look real quick. Let me see if I got the right point here.
Wait, we also got James Creek in the chat. Hey, Creek, if you can respond to us, how are your ribs? I haven't got any report about how his ribs are.
Oh yeah.
But anyway,
he was pulled from the last event.
yeah. But I'm sorry. Run this replay.
Okay, this is the Rainy 2-pack against Damage 1-0-12 on the clock. So Rainy Stanzak obviously ended the event with kill count leader via my fan wagon on confirmed kills. He was able to, he single-handedly put points together against a Russian match. He was playing lights out. He's playing the best I've ever seen him play, going all the way back to when he played for Texas Storm. I've never seen Rainy play this good. And, this is an example of why. Rainy in the middle, trying to make things happen, gets the kill on the Dorito side. Not enough. He wants more. Goes and runs down Jason Edwards. Unfortunately, we didn't get a very good angle on that. And gets another and one kill on damaged players. Unfortunately, I think they still end up losing this point. But Rainy doing Rainy's job, I want Rainy on my team. Like he would easily be one of my first picks right now, just how hot he's playing. He's putting points together like I've never seen before.
I've been watching Rainy play this game since he was a teenager and when he was coming up the ranks, and he's always been good. He's played on top teams for a long time, but the emotion, the drive he's bringing to the game this year is just so impressive. I mean, he's the emotional spark plug for Edmonton Impact. I mean, they've taken all these second places in a row, and it's tough when you're at the top of the game and other teams are finding their form and they're beating you in the finals and you're taking all these second places. But the hunger, the motivation is the toughest thing. When you're Edmonton Impact, when you're Houston Heat, when you're Dynasty, X Factor, these teams have been sitting at the top for so long. Players that have been playing this game for as long as they have. It's the toughest thing is the grind. I mean, that's why that term came up, the grind, because paintball is fun. Being a pro paintball player is awesome, but when you've been doing it for 10 years and you're gone for 25 weeks a year sometimes, and your body's beat up and your knee hurts and your back hurts, I mean, it's tough to summon the emotion that you need to get up consistently all the time and be at that 10 level. But that's what Rainy's doing, and it seems that the tougher the games get, the more Rainy rises to the challenge. I mean, look at that route that he ran. We haven't seen there was only maybe like 2 other guys I saw run this specific route in a situation like this. Right. And just again, I'm looking for creativity. I'm looking for high paintball IQ. I'm looking for your ability to bring the spirit out in these tough moments. And that's exactly what Rainy's doing this year. So it's just awesome. And it's not just one point. It's not just one game. It's all year long. So, he's talking about favorite players to watch. I mean, on Edmonton Impact right now, a team chock full of stars that are incredibly fun to watch play this game. Rainey's one of the best ones right now just because, he's talking shit. He's making huge moves. He's shooting guys off the break. He's making big counter moves. He's taking unconventional run-throughs like what we're seeing right here. I mean, it's just beautiful, to be honest. It's just he's playing the game the way it's supposed to be played.
Let's go right into the AC Dallas Revo highlight. Brad, let me pull up the graphic here. All right, here it is. This is a Brad McCurley highlight. Unfortunately, Brad getting injured on Sunday. He was kill count leader going in Friday and Saturday with a astronomical lead, just playing amazing. And this kind of shows as to what he was doing over there. He was just putting on a clinic. No one could survive on the Dorito side when Brad was playing over there. And that's
one of the reasons that I really like this. I mean, this isn't like the greatest highlight, but this is just I wanted to show that. I've been watching. So we're putting together this year-end video. It's obviously going to come out at the end of the year, but it's going to be the story of the year throughout each one of these events. And as I'm going back and I'm rewatching all these AC Dallas games, particularly at the last event, AC Dallas consistently a little bit more conservative on the attack than some of the other top teams. But man, they've definitely developed a different gear. The way that Brad McCurley, when they picked up Brad McCurley, now we know that Brad's an aggressive guy, but the way that Matt Jackson has been ratcheting up his play, how TJ has been playing, how John Jackson counters, the way Ryan Hall is just naturally aggressive. they're not really a conservative team anymore. If you go back and watch point for point and the way they played this, with the way that Brad McCurley, and you can see the tag team of Brad McCurley, and then Matt Jackson comes up right with them, and then TJ behind them. Just it's a really good combo. I really believe that AC Dallas, when they get Brad back, they're going to be. I mean, we've said this for a while, but I just think that if you go back and rewatch their games, they're starting to be a team that I really think is ready to win an event. I'm not saying like, oh, it's. We've been saying that for a while now, but I think that the time has come. It's just up to them and whether or not they can capitalize, and also do they have the depth? Because that's the big problem. I mean, so Brad had 40 confirmed kills before he got hurt, and he gets hurt in the not this match as they end up beating Revo, but in the next match he gets hurt in the second point. There weren't a lot of points in that game, and he ends up getting taken out, or has to take himself out because he blew his hamstring out.
Right.
That's the thing.
And it wasn't just him getting injured in that match. Him getting injured had to shift everyone out of their positions. Yeah. So it's kind of one of those things where everyone went into that match playing a tournament, 2 days of a tournament in a specific role. Brad gets injured, and then half of AC Dallas is now playing positions they haven't played at all. And then they have to put in their rookie. They have to put in Brandon Rabikoff, who hasn't played yet with them. It was... Unfortunately, that injury, I really felt like that could have been their tournament. They could have beaten Heat there, and Impact looked not. Obviously, they lose, but they didn't look as strong. So, yeah, man, I still agree with you. I think it's around the corner. I think I went and saw them practice actually last weekend. Waring looked great. Brad actually looked really great. Sorry, not Brad. Brandon. Brandon was actually looking really good. The team looked like they were doing well against Infamous when I was able to watch. Let's get into, once again, can't have a highlight reel without Impact. Impact Damage, Dalton and Tim battle on the D side. Good point going back and forth. Push comes from Impact, countered by Damage, and Dalton counters Tim. Kind of a fiasco here, but Dalton Vanderbilt showing why he's on the Impact payroll.
Yeah, well, this was another clutch moment right here, in the sense that, okay, so there's still 9 minutes and 18 seconds left, but this was definitely a turning point in this game. And you could see that Tim Montressor, again, going back and watching all the points that Damage played at this last event, man, Tim, though he didn't put up the kill count that he put up at the last event or the first event in Vegas,
Tim
was still consistently attacking on that D side. So Slim Tim losing that weight in the off season, he's an offensive threat. You got to have threats. If you don't have somebody that I'm worried about on the D side, if you don't have somebody I'm worried about on the Snake side, it's so much easier to beat your team. And Tim has emerged again after all these years as one of the best players on the D side of the field. He didn't get the drop in this particular one because of this beautiful move from Dalton. Dalton really stepped up for Edmonton Impact on the D side. It's tough for Impact. They have 10 rock stars on that team. I mean, Dalton coming up out of Southern California. He's played for Aftermath, played for Dynasty, played for Damage. He's a guy that gets paid, and he is a pro paintball player. He gets a check, and this is one of the reasons why. If you look at this counter move and how he played at the rest of this tournament, again, a threat, constantly pushing forward and being somebody that people worried about on the D side of the field that was very strong. Everyone was trying to get across that gap. Get across the 50, and that's your best spot. Dalton knows that. He plays the side of the field, obviously, and then he runs through and does the do-si-do there with Tim Montressor, but and then starts jumping up. And there was a big argument after that, and you see the penalty gets pulled. It was pretty chaotic, but it was still it was a fun point to watch. And Dalton, I mean, this is the thing with Impact. They had a lot of guys step up at the last event. They have them step up at every event. This is why they've taken all these second places in the row, and they won their first event in Vegas. But they're just trying to get on the same page again, enough to win a tournament. I mean, I can't really criticize them too much because they've taken, a first place and then a bunch of seconds. But, it's just Dalton was he was doing a really good job and bearing a lot of the weight on the D side of the field when JC wasn't out there. And JC had some great points as well, too. But then JC ended up getting sacked because he got in an argument with Dave Baines.
I didn't know that. JC got sat because he got in an argument with Dave?
Yeah, I can't remember the exact game. I would have to go back to my notes, but I got all these notes here. So I'd have to go deep into them real quick and try not to stop the show to find out the exact point. But yeah, so it was a situation where Lauren gave us the info. So, we got Lauren down there, who's always, trying to find out the story behind the story. So she's in the pits, listening to the coaches, listening to the players. What are they arguing about? What are they discussing? And then that's when we cut to her. So she'll be like, oh, I got something. They just got in an argument. She'll say that to the producer. The producer will prompt me. We throw it down to Lauren. So, and then apparently there was some argument between JC and Dave. And then I don't want to misquote either guy, but just going off memory, it was something that, run that. And then Dave was like, that's it. You're sitting for this next point. And then he sat JC. Something like that happened. I'm butchering that slightly, but that's kind of what went down.
JC, that guy's wild. We're going to go right into, we got 5 more highlights here. This is Jason Edwards running down Brandon Cornell on D side and saving a point. Look at the clock, though. 7:30 on the clock, down by 1. Who's the guy on damage that's going to get things done? Jason Edwards. The Edwards brothers have been doing this for how long? And, like, every single time there's a moment on that team where someone needs to shine, it is Jason Edwards here who pulls off the 2-on-2, bunkering out Brandon Cornell here on the Dorito side and saving the point. Maddie.
Well, and when you play a guy like Jason Edwards, I mean, to talk about the veteran experience that guy has, I mean, how long has he been doing it? Just to give you a little bit of info. I mean, when we had a practice with Excessive back in 2004, I believe, where we kind of brought some guy, or we had an open tryout and had a bunch of guys come out, and Edwards came out for that. He didn't make the team. And then there was like we got an argument with him or something. I can't remember exactly how it went down, but that was 14 years ago. That's how long that this guy's been playing that game for. And he's a guy that has to know the entire field. Jason doesn't know when the point shakes down and in that scramble. It's so valuable to have guys when, that play the smart 2 or 3, that they don't know exactly where they're going to be. So they have to know the D side. They have to know the center. They have to know the snake side, because he could, guys could get shot on the snake side. He has to filter out that way. This time he's running through on the D side to save the point for damage. But and what sucks, unfortunately, for Tampa Bay damage is that Jason and the rest of the guys on damage are going to have to step up even more because his brother blew his ankle out.
Is he out for sure?
I haven't heard that he's okay yet. So, and the way that ankle, how severe that ankle injury was, I mean, it's going to take a minor miracle for him to play this event, I think. So, I mean, Jason Edwards or Jacob Edwards blowing his ankle out at the last event in Prague. And the way that Jason had been playing, we're talking about how consistent Tim has been on the attack on the D side. If you're looking at damage as a whole, no one is carrying more weight or was carrying more weight in the first events than Jacob Edwards. So the fact that he is now coming off the field really means that, and we talked about this on the last show, Cortez is really going to have to step up. Silos is going to have to be that guy on the snake side. Everyone across the board on that team, especially they lose Waring, so they have less depth. It's going to be interesting to watch to see how that goes down. I mean, I totally believe that they have the capabilities to do it with the crew that they have. And damage is made Sunday both times, but kind of on the cusp. So yeah, it's just a huge hit to them.
We're getting a little bit of information here from Matt. Looks like Matt Sossman says Jacob did practice this weekend against PC Katana. Well, that's
really good news.
Yeah, that's good sign
really
for
good news.
Good sign for damage.
That's huge. I mean, that's wow. I mean, he must heal like the Wolverine then, because when that injury happened, it looked terrible.
Yeah, he had to limp off the field. Let's get the last impact and damage highlight in here. None other than one of my favorite players to watch. 151 on the clock. Impact is up by 2. They're coasting here. And Keith Brown doing Keith Brown things. Let me pull this up. You guys can't see it. There it is. Keith Brown doing Keith Brown things. Man, that guy, like, as much as we talk about Alex Goldman, and as much of a specimen Alex Goldman is as an athlete, the guy who's competing for that position is just as good in a completely different way. You know what I mean? Like, Keith Brown's style of snake play and Alex Goldman's style are very different in my opinion. But it's like, I don't even know, how do you make a decision on who to play? Like, it's Keith Brown or Alex Goldman as the one over there. We did get to see them playing the 1 and the 2. That was interesting. But here's boilerplate Keith Brown move: jump over the snake, bunker 2 dudes.
Well, and if you look at the moment right here, so it's a 2-point match with just under 2 minutes to go. If damage can find a way to win this point, it's still a match. There's still some time left because this is kind of when the point went down. But look at Keith. He jumps inside. He had just made the move to the 50. He cuts inside, runs the highway, gets one, switches hands, and now comes right-handed after going left-handed on the snake
hilarious.
one.
This happened.
Level.
This happened during the live show. Hold on, let me pull up the audio.
Loader.
Oh yeah, I remember when this happened, and I went down to our producer. I was like, "What was that?" And he's like, "Sorry, man, it's getting a little crazy down here." I was like, "It's the worst time ever to get a level loader plug in."
Yeah, look at this. Right as the guy's about to get bunkered, we click the wrong button, and the level loader graphic comes up. Literally, like right as we're about to show this moment, it's like, oh my God, look at this highlight level loader.
Well, because I was talking through the replay too, and I was like, because I needed to see if he got hit or not. It was hilarious. I was like, come on, bro.
You said someone said that was the sneakiest level loader commercial ever.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that's how desperate we are for sponsors, is we're plugging them in like during the highlights.
It was an accident, I swear.
I swear it was an accident. Yeah. So, but yes, Keith Brown. So the Keith Brown Alex Goldman argument, right? So Alex is faster, Keith's smaller. They're both amazing. I mean, we're talking about, are we talking about delicious deep dish pizza with sausage on it and some peppers? Or are we talking about delicious deep dish pizza with pepperoni on it with some some sauteed onions or something? I mean, I don't know what your style is on pizza, but they're both delicious. So we talking about a delicious frosty IPA or a delicious frosty stout. I mean, you're talking about things that are amazing regardless. So Alex Goldman is amazing. Keith Brown's amazing. I think the reason that Keith Brown is getting the start more often than not over Alex Goldman, and Alex Goldman is fired up over this. He respects the hell out of Keith, and he understands, and he's not arguing with the situation. But he wants that. He's really been working real hard to be the go-to guy, and I think that's one of the reasons they started. And then the field layout at the last event, but they started running both of them on the snake side of the field. Yep. But Keith, in the past 2 years, has had bigger moments. So I would say that on the top end, I mean, when Mouse is on fire, he's setting kill count records, but he's not as consistent as Keith is. And in these moments, when we're watching, like you said, Keith Brown doing Keith Brown things, I mean, this was a really big point right here. It's a 2-point match. I mean, this is basically the moment that sealed the game for Edmonton Impact. And when you have a guy that's consistently having those moments, you got to give him the nod. It's just, it's tough to take away playing time in crucial clutch situations when a guy is having clutch moments. And that's what Keith's been doing. He's a multiple-time MVP award winner. He's constantly putting himself in positions with the high paintball IQ he has and the right timing to make moves like this to steal points and steal games away from the opponents. So it was just beautiful work by Keith Brown again.
And that wraps up our quarterfinals for NXL Texas Open. We're going to get right into the semifinals in particular. Maddie wanted to do a whole show, and we still might do this, wants to do a whole show dedicated to this one match. And at first I was skeptical. I know it's the greatest comeback. I mean, it was a really good comeback, but I never really appreciated this match that we're about to go over. The Impact Russian Legion match at NXL Texas Open, if you want to sit down and rewatch a paintball match and you haven't watched this already, go grab a beer, turn this on, and you're welcome. It is insane. It is absolutely insane. Actually, this is Heat X Factor. I'm not sure which highlight is this. Heat 6 X Factor 2.
Oh, this is the I wanted to give some props to Colt Roberts, in the sense that, I mean, you look at the time. This is just a testament before we jump into one of the most amazing comebacks in the history of the game. So X Factor is down 4 points. There's 1 minute and 16 seconds left. This game is over. This game's it, man. Fat Lady has sung. Game's over. X Factor's going to get knocked out by Houston Heat, and by a lot, right? But the way that X Factor's playing this game, it's like they're down by 1, and it's impressive. Colt Roberts comes through on the D side. It was and also this is that staggered attack. A staggered attack doesn't necessarily, you'll hear me preach when teams need points and they need them quick, a la what we're about to watch from X Factor, is the staggered attack. The way that X Factor ran their staggered attack here was impressive. And I wanted to give a shout out to Colt Roberts just because of how ridiculous he was playing on that D side. Colt carried a lot of weight for X Factor in the prelims, and he got shot early in the first 2 points in this game. But the way he finished this out and the way that X Factor finished this out, 2 points in a row, so they make it a closer score than it really was for the majority of the game because of their willingness to leave it to die on their swords, and that's not exactly something that is some strange thing that just never happens with X Factor. They do that time and time again. So it's just the fact that Colt and the boys from X Factor were pushing down on down points and down time. I just wanted to give them a little bit of credit and take note of the way that they ran their staggered attacks.
All right, X Factor gets knocked out, semifinals. Going back to what we were saying, Impact Red Legion, man. Let's start with this first highlight. And this basically starts the craziness. Once again, Rainy Stanzak making the highlight reel.
Well, hold on a second.
Sure.
You got this game. It looked horrible for Edmonton Impact. It was terrible. Edmonton Impact was getting penalties. They were getting blown off the field at the start of the points, losing tons of bodies. They were just falling apart. I mean, it really looked like Red Legion was going to mercy rule them, knock them out of the tournament, and then become the favorites and move on. And then when it's 6-1, all of a sudden magic starts to happen. And I've talked to guys about this. We were talking about when we were doing the live call with Ryan, and Ryan was pointing out about how tired that Red Legion would seem to be getting as they were running the same guys. Impact played all those points too. So, and they have, I mean, I don't know if it was the fatigue that set in for Red Legion. I just think it was the grit that Edmonton Impact showed and switched some things up. And then the paintball guys kind of shined their way a little bit, but it was literally 6-1 with Red Legion about to mercy rule. And I think the Impact also went down a body in that point to start things out. But then they reel off a couple points. And then this is when it really started to get interesting. So it's still 2 minutes and 4 seconds left. They're down by 2. They've just scored 3 unanswered points. And then Rainey again makes a huge move over here on the snakes from the middle. He comes up, he shoots Malloy, he gets to the brick, and then runs through. And as the move was coming on the D side of the field, he runs up and stitches Golev in the back, and then immediately turns around and starts jawing at him. You can see here. So Golev shoots J-Rab, who I don't think had the count right. I couldn't tell if J-Rab was dead and just running up, but it looked like
he didn't have the count right. He was still
alive. He didn't have the count right, so he gets drilled in his chest, and then Rainey doesn't miss a moment, knowing that they need all these points and knowing they need to close quick, and he comes through, stitches it up, slams on the buzzer, turns around, and immediately just starts saying to Golev, "Yeah, it's coming. Get ready for it. It's I've been bringing it all day long. I'm gonna keep bringing it." It was just, again, more awesome energy from Rainey Stanzik and just a ridiculous comeback. Like Cena said, I've been watching this game since 1994. I've been calling games since 2003, and we've been doing this webcast since 2008. I can't remember the last time, other than maybe Dynasty about 7 or 8 years ago. I haven't seen a comeback like this in my career of playing or calling games. It was insane. You definitely want to go back and watch this one if you haven't already checked it out.
Yeah, this is what started the train. I really feel like the team was really building off Rainey here, and one of the reasons why he was MVP or kill count leader. I mean, he's just had that intensity. One more time, I want to show you the actual, in my opinion, the actual clutch move here was to go up the middle, caught Britnikoff on the move. He shoots Britnikoff on the move here. Let me play it back one more time for you so you can see it. Here it is. He shoots Britnikoff on this move. Boom. Right there. He runs it in, gets that kill, no more wide out, runs down the middle guy, hits the buzzer. 1:29 on the clock. It's 6-5. So they still, nasty. It's still, I mean, we still got work to do, basically. Let's take a look real quick at the next point. Here it is. 6-5, 1:30 on the clock. What do you do? There's not much to do here besides play your consistent paintball. I mean, Edmonton Impact is who they are. You're gonna have to beat them. They're not gonna make mistakes, and they do. They shoot Zach Yakimic, but once again, Rainey Stanzak up the middle making plays. Shoots. I think, is that Golev or is that I don't know who that was. That was Kirill up the middle, and this is, I believe, when Alex Goldman and Rainey Stanzak close out a point. Let's take a look here. Oh, yeah, they just pick everybody off. And, it started with that, once again, Rainey Stanzak making the correct moves up the middle.
Yeah, they were just, dude, gas pedal, pegged to the floor, no choice, pushing forward, and just making ridiculous shots. This was not a field where you can hide in the back. Sometimes, like, we're about to watch a field potentially where you can pull off some low body stuff in the back or just roll guns and contain the attack. I don't know. I've been hearing that mostly, but a few conflicting reports. I mean, that's pretty much typical. You never know until we get to the tournament. But anyway, you could not play defensive on this field. So I don't know if it was fatigue. Russians were getting out a little bit late for the start, kind of getting out there just the last second to go before things happen. And also, I mean, this paintball is definitely a game of momentum. And the way that Impact was rolling these points off, it's really tough to stop guys like Rainey, like Keith, like when they're making these moves. I mean, if you look at this, I mean, they did the traditional thing. They go up there. So they tried to fight fire with fire. They didn't hide all their guys in the back. They make an aggressive move to the 50, but Rainey makes the counter. No one's watching that move, and no one really could because he did it perfectly. And then they have some guys losing their gunfights and not making their shots on dudes pushing up the field. And it's just, I mean, I've lost a game. I remember one time at World Cup, we went up like 6 points on Dynasty. This is back in the day when we were playing like full X-ball though, 2 halves and 25-minute long games. So which makes this comeback even better because you're not dealing with as much time. So we were up like 6 points in halftime. And then I was on the field while this was happening. It's just like, you're just looking around going like, what the hell is going on here? I'm the last guy left alive getting shot by 3 dudes. Like, how are we losing all 4 guys in 10 seconds? This is ridiculous. Stay alive in your bunkers. But sometimes it just goes that way because guys are just doing stuff they're not supposed to do. Running through lanes they're not supposed to run through. Making shots they're not supposed to make all the time. It was ridiculous, man. I mean, this was 5 unanswered points. And then how it ended was crazy too, because I'm like, okay,
as
I'm watching this game,
here's that 6-6 point.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, it's tied up. There's 48 seconds left. There's no way Impact can do this. 6 unanswered points in a row. I mean, can they steal this one at the end? And then you watch it break down. So, okay, aggressive breakout, which is kind of interesting because they're like, hey, we got the mojo. Let's just keep it rolling. Yeah. And a body to the brick. He's watching the snake side. Here comes the counter. Watch Golev go over the top. Golev comes over the top, gets the shot, and then
torched.
He gets torched, comes off, might have hurt his shoulder as he had a hard time picking his gun up. Maybe not. And then here comes Russians. The Russians are trying to steal it at the last second too. There's only 15 seconds left. The Russians are past the 50 on Impact's side. So they do to the Russians what the Russians couldn't do to them. They contain, lose bodies. Rainey's over there going back and forth. He ends up getting shot. Justin gets shot. But there goes Zach stealing it at the end. You only need 1 guy left alive. You only need 1 to hit that buzzer.
Look at the time. Look at this, though. Look at the point at which he decides to go for the buzzer and where he came from. Zach Yakimic is in the can and gets 2 kills off the Dorito side right here. Watch what Zach does.
Look how low he's staying.
He's just like, fuck it, I'm going.
Absolutely. And look at the way he plays this. Look, he's cheating towards the snake side.
He shoots 3 here.
He knows that, hey, look, the guys are coming up. He's down low, crouched, right? Expecting, because when you're coming, you're shooting chest high.
Alive?
Where guys are.
Kirill was alive. Look, Kirill was alive in the cake. It was actually a runoff. I didn't know this. It was a run to the buzzer. Kirill was in the cake,
he takes off,
and Zach Yakimic was in the can, and he beats him to the buzzer.
Yeah, and barely too. But so this is you can get penalties for this, so you gotta be really careful. But when you're coming off and there's just a few seconds left and you're Rainy right there, it's kind of good sometimes to do the whole like, I don't know, did I shoot that guy? You don't want to talk and get a penalty, but just the brief, like look at the moments that Kirill had to worry about Rainy right here. So Rainey just pauses for a second. So Rainey gets shot.
That wasn't.
So watch the bodies come off.
I don't.
Rainey gets shot.
Yeah. Rainey gets shot, but he gets out.
There goes Zach. Rainey holds him up for just a moment, and then there goes tried to go for the buzzer, and then Zach beats him there.
Oh
Insane.
My god! I love that Zach beat him to the buzzer from his can when Kirill was in their cake. He was basically on their 30-yard line, and Zach Yakimic was on his own 30-yard line. And he somehow finds a way to hit the buzzer.
Well, it's because Rainey paused Kirill long enough so that he'd have the couple seconds he needed to get across and get that extra ground, and just barely got in there in time, man. But that was just one of a bunch of crazy moments that happened in that 6-point run. So definitely go back, check out Go Sports, and watch that game. It was beautiful.
One of the final replays highlights we have, I don't remember if it's 1 or 2 replays, but I believe, okay, so this is, in my opinion, Nico Hyde found a way to pretty much put the nail in the coffin when it was a 1-on-2 situation. Chad George gets shot out of the corner via Alex Goldman. And now it is a 1-on-2. Okay, Keith Brown and Alex Goldman are now in the Snake side, and Nico is the only person alive on the Dorito side. And I mean, Alex Goldman's already starting to make his way to the buzzer. Keith Brown just needs to hold off Nico. That's all they got to do. Hold him off, and they lose him. Both of them. They lose Nico. And Nico, there he is on the Dorito side making those moves, finds a way to get all the way to their corner, realizes that everyone has lost him. It was a sprint off to the buzzer. Nico Hyde gets the point. In my opinion, completely deflating Edmonton Impact, taking a 2-point lead in the finals, and then the rest is history. They're able to close off Impact. Had Impact won this, it would have been a tie game.
That was the point that got Nico the MVP.
Yeah,
that was it right there. I mean, if you're in a 1-on-2 situation with your opponent in the back corner bunker, and you're literally the last guy left alive. Other side's completely blown. All once you start going forward, all Alex has to do with being the fastest guy in paintball is just run down and hit the buzzer when Keith just needs to hold you up. But the way that Nico was able to bide his time. Now, desperation was definitely there a little bit. I mean, he knew he had to go forward. He knew that also this is interesting too, because they have a 1-point lead here. There's a minute and 30 seconds left. So some guys with a little bit more tentative of a mind might think like, okay, well, let me just try to protect the flag. Protect the buzzer. Try to find an angle where I can get a shot potentially on Mouse, who has to go for the buzzer. Maybe I'll get that kill, take it to a 1-on-1. He decides to do the opposite thing, which is go forward and try to, that was definitely the coffin nail right there. The fact that Nico was able to get that point with Keith in the position that he was in, with Goldman with the Snake side completely blown, him the last player left alive on the field, that was the point that won him the MVP right there. Won his team the tournament and won himself the MVP. Ridiculous.
Yeah, and the one person that I don't want to do a sprint off against to the buzzer, Alex Goldman.
Yeah, I mean, you see Goldman's looking cross field and realizes at that last second, he's like, oh my God, I think he might beat me to the buzzer.
Yeah.
And Nico, though not slow, is definitely not even close to as fast as Mouse. And you could see Mouse eyes to the sky in disappointment, realizing, how do we blow that one? My God, I can't believe we just lost that 1-on-2. And I got beat to the buzzer when there was nobody in front of me.
Man, it's so strange to me. Like, of all the people that I would peg to handle this 2-on-1, if you could pick any 2 people, handle this 2-on-1, I'd put Keith Brown in the corner to hold off Nico, and I'd put Alex Goldman in the Snake to go hit the buzzer. Like, it's unreal. Like, this situation is unreal. You will never see, 1 in a million will this happen again. And Nico Hyde does it. It was awesome.
Yeah, but 1 in a million stuff seems to happen a lot in this game, especially deep into the tournament, and especially in 2018. We've seen some craziness out there this year. So, I mean, I agree with you, Cena, for sure. Keith Brown and Alex Goldman, you can't ask for 2 better guys on the field with that speed and their gunfighting ability. I mean, those are 2 great gunfighters and guys that are blazing fast. The positions they were in, Nico should not. There's no way in hell that Nico should have been able to win this point the way that he won it.
No, they blew.
So that, and if anyone's ever talked to Nico, he's kind of a cerebral guy. He's a smart kid, and so the fact that he was able to, to sometimes you meet kids that are real cerebral, real smart, but they're not.
Cerebral is a good word for Nico.
But they're not. Well, I got a chance to talk. Nico's great, man. I love Nico. One time he slept on the floor in Paris like 2 years ago in Chantilly because he didn't have a place to stay. So I got a chance to talk to him for a little bit, let him crash in our room. And he's a smart kid. But, he likes to have interesting conversations about stuff. But sometimes when you meet those really smart kids, they're not aggressively minded. They're not like aggressive paintball players. So with Nico combined, that's why Nico's getting scary, is he's combining the IQ with his natural tendency to push forward and play aggressive. It's paying dividends for Houston Heat. Ronnie Dizon's kind of on that same level right now too, that that's what's making Heat the team to beat right now. I know that Impact has made it to the finals in every event, but when I'm just looking man for man and execution right now, I mean, there's a reason I think the Houston Heat is the team to beat. But I did want to give some credit. That's why I wanted to do, a whole first look just on that one particular game before the Russians come back. Because, Impact, though, I mean, it's an argument. And this is one of the fun things about sports in general, is to have arguments back and forth. And you and I do this all the time at the events. Speaking of which, Daddy would like to get paid. You know what I'm saying?
I'm running your bet all the way through World Cup. Don't even. Daddy would like to get paid.
That's right,
Please.
son. That's right,
Please.
son.
I'm not
Cash
giving
money.
I'm not giving you $1
Accept
until the
PayPal,
season's over.
accept Venmo. I'll accept pounds in London.
All
You
right.
can get me chips in
Final call outs to social media. Once again, thank you guys. Everyone hit the share button, hit the like button. It's how we get our viewership. It's how we keep this free content rolling. It's how we get more subscribers, which ends up allowing us to get better coverage throughout the years. Jason Guy saying, I'm not sure AC can be considered a sleeper anymore. They're beating good teams consistently. Agreed. I'm not even sure you can say that X Factor is the best. What do they say? Best kids in Texas? It's arguable. James Kendricks, AC Dallas taking Atlantic City. We got a lot of AC Dallas fans today in chat. Mike Waring, I agree with James Kendrick. Mike, you look good at practice on AC Dallas. Good luck in Atlantic City. Final comment, Mikey Hooks. Someone needs to dethrone Impact from the top 3. A little bit of Impact haterade in chat today. Maddie, good highlights. I'm looking forward to Atlantic City. What's the should we just do a pick? Should we just do a You want to take a team? I'll take a team. Rock, paper, scissors.
Well, I'd say we save it for we rock, paper, scissors, but we're gonna do another first look to talk about all this stuff at some point this week. So we probably should save that argument for that conversation.
Sure.
Man, I don't know. I don't like making picks the weekend before. I like making picks after I've had conversations throughout the week, and kind of see who's playing and that sort of shit. But I don't know. This is a tough one, man. I think that Impact might be ready to win a tournament again. Dynasty is going to be pretty hyped coming off their win in Prague with the Expendables, aka the Dynables.
Bringing in that Euro momentum.
Yeah, I don't think Brad is back yet for AC Dallas. I don't think that I don't know if he's going to be playing this event.
Yeah, he is.
Is he playing this event?
He told me he is.
Okay.
He was practicing it yesterday, so yes.
Okay, that's good news.
I think Brad's wife, Rosie, is in chat. She will know best. Is Brad playing? Yes. I mean, dude, you can't take Impact out either.
Well, yeah, and I agree with whoever said that AC is not a sleeper, and I definitely would never say that AC is a sleeper. A sleeper would be like Revo, maybe Elevation. A team that's making the wild card but not, getting deep into the tournament. That would be a sleeper. AC Dallas is a top team. That's a consistent top team right there. So we can't say that they're a sleeper. And I do truly feel if Brad is healthy, if Brad's 100%, then AC Dallas could very much win this event. I mean, they look, even going with the TJ and Matt going over and playing with the Tauntauns. Like, those guys are making very few mistakes over there playing with that squad. And the way that, even John has been stepping up on the counter moves. And, I mean, and the way Ryan Hall, I mean, when I was watching AC Dallas game yesterday, again, doing some homework for some of the projects we're working on. Yeah, AC Dallas is ready to win an event. It would not surprise me in the very least if AC Dallas won Atlantic City.
And on that note, let's call it wraps. First Look Live. I appreciate everyone from joining. Thank you for all the comments. Thank you, Maddie Marshall, for being here. Be sure to tune in. We're going to try and do one more before the show. Next week is Atlantic City. June 22nd through the 24th. Our production will start on Friday. Be sure to tune in to GoSports.com and watch all the matches live, and go back and watch all the old matches. Every single NXL match is available on GoSports.com. It's totally affordable. It totally makes sense to get all that content in you if you're a paintball fan. And, of course, thank you to our other sponsors, GISports.com, for all your paintball products, paintball needs, everything from the paintballs themselves to the soft goods, and myfanwagon.com. We got a fancy new commercial, looking fresh.
Yeah, the commercial was it's pretty nice there, Cena. I don't know if you did that one or had it outsourced, but it still looks pretty nice.
I did. I learned some new tricks. Yeah, myfanwagon.com. We were giving away tons of prizes. We're also doing, we've partnered up with Under Armour, to bring new prizes to paintball. We're doing some stuff with them on lacrosse, and I was like, hey, throw some swag to give away on my fan wagon for Atlantic City, and they did. So props to Under Armour. Hashtag I will be a fan. We are giving away tons of new products. Be sure to tune in to the show when we announce it. But go ahead and log into My Fan Wagon and make your picks. It's super simple. You literally click join, you click picks, and then you win. So head on over to myfanwagon.com. And Maddie, I will see you later.